Hey everybody, this is my salute of Toon Disney, and Disney One Saturday Morning, and Rant on Disney Channel. With that being said, been a huge fan of the Disney Channel since about I think 1996. 1995 or 1996 is when I first saw the Disney Channel, and I've been a huge fan ever since. I started to get out of it around the 2000s because that's when Toon Disney became Disney Channel, and I was afraid that Disney was going to become more about live action instead of cartoons. What's funny is that would happen years later, but even though despite the fact they were focusing more on live action at that time, they still had cartoons coming out at that time, which I'm about to get to in a minute. I think Disney Channel was good from 1995 all the way up until 2009. That's when I really stopped caring about them. I returned later, but that's when I stopped caring about them. And they went downhill long before that too, but that's when they completely went downhill in my opinion. And now they're worser today than they were then. They first went down. They started to go downhill in 2004. This is in late 2004. This is when they were becoming more about live action instead of animations. You still had some good cartoons, but in my opinion, they weren't as good as the cartoons from the past. But they were still good cartoons, and the live action stuff at the time was pretty good. So even if you want to take that live action network approach, you could have at that time, because the live action stuff was actually good. Then, in my opinion, it went downhill again in 2006 when Hannah Montana came. Hannah Montana was good at first in the first season, but then in the second season it started becoming superficial and fake, and it was just all over the channel and just stale. And when Hannah Montana came, Hannah Montana became so popular, they say, you know what? You don't need cartoons. We can ride this live action crap all day. We can take people off the street, make them singers, make them actors, and make money off of that, and be cheap and make money off of that, and not do any animation. I didn't know this, but it's actually cheaper to make a live action sitcom like series than animation, which is why Cartoon Network, Disney Channel, Nickelodeon keep going this route. Then of course, in my opinion, Disney Channel, it completely went downhill in 2009, in late 2008 and 2009, because by that time everything was a sitcom. I still enjoy several of their sitcoms, but everything was a sitcom. Everything was live action. There was hardly any cartoons except for Phineas and Ferb and reruns of cartoons like Proud Family, Kim Possible, shows like that, and the Disney Channel movies from the 90s. That's the only thing you have from your animation category. Then in 2010, 2011, it got even worse. This is when all the Disney Channel stars were growing up. Emily Osment, Demi Lovato, Selena Gomez, Miley Cyrus, all of these people were growing up, and by this time we're leaving. Some of these people were leaving Disney Channel, and instead of Disney going back to what made them famous in the first place, Mickey, Goofy, cartoons, no, they introduced a younger generation of actors and rehash the same shows, only even crappier this time around. And they're still doing that today. They have a couple of cartoons, but they're terrible. Phineas and Ferb, I enjoyed that when it first came on, but I enjoyed that all the way up until 2012. Since 2012, I've been sick of the show. I'm sick of seeing the same plots, sick of seeing the same jokes, and it's just stale. Gravity Falls is pretty awesome. That's a pretty awesome show. Wonder Over Yonder, I think that show sucks. I think it's poorly designed. I think the story is lame and cliche, and I think the theme song is annoying and it's not catchy at all. And I think Craig McCracken, I'm gonna get a lot of flame for this, but I think Craig McCracken kind of sucks. That's just my opinion. I respect his legacy and what he's done for Cartoon Network, but I think he sucks, especially where he is today, alone and on Disney Channel. But I'll talk more about him in another video. But going back to Disney Channel, like I said, when I first, this is the salute of Toon Disney part of the video. When I started watching Disney Channel, it was awesome. They had awesome shows like the Rescue Rangers, Chip and Dale, Goof Troop, Gargoyles, a violent show, a violent Batman X-Men type show for the more family-friendly Disney Channel show. Hercules, The Legendary Journeys, The Legend of Tarzan. I was a huge fan of both of those movies and loved their cartoons. You had the Aladdin television series. Don't think Aladdin was the greatest thing in the whole world, but I was a huge fan of that movie and did love the television series. Did grow up watching the television series in my childhood. Then of course you had the various Mickey Mouse cartoons, the various Donald Duck cartoons. I think that cartoon was called DuckTales. I think that's what it was called. Yeah, DuckTales. Then of course so many Toon Disney had so many awesome shows. Then into the 2000s. The 2000s when Disney Channel became when Toon Disney became Disney Channel, and this is when they started introducing live action. But you still had cartoons on one Saturday morning like Recess, which was actually in the 90s, but I didn't see it till the early 2000s. Recess, Lloyd in Space, that was an awesome underrated show. The Weekenders, the show which was the same show as Recess and Lloyd in Space, only this show takes place over the weekend. Another awesome underrated show. I enjoy. And then of course you had Proud Family, which I thought, while that show got on my nerves at time, I thought that was an awesome African American animated sitcom. You had Kim Possible, which that show got on my nerves at time, but that was an awesome action comedy cartoon. Then your live action stuff was actually pretty good. Even Stevens, so weird. Afraid of the Dark, Goosebumps, Disney type show. The Jersey, a show where people put on where people go into a fantasy world and play sports. The Jersey, that was another cool show. The Famous Jet Jackson. Wasn't the biggest Lizzie McGuire fan, but I did enjoy watching watching the show, and definitely would take it over several of the sitcoms today. I did grow up with that show. Then you had That's So Raven. I love that show. I miss when That's So Raven, when she was the face of Disney Channel. Disney Channel was the coolest. Then of course you had sitcoms from other networks like Smart Guy, Sister, and my favorite, Boy Meets World, which I didn't even know was from the 90s until I saw 90s wrestlers Jake the Snake, Big Van Vader, and Mick Foley doing the Mankind gimmick on there. So like, yeah, Disney Channel was awesome then. And then in my opinion, it started to go downhill in late 2004. This is when they started moving shows like Weekenders and Lloyd in Space to the Toon Disney block, which I didn't get at that time, to the Toon Disney block when they made Toon Disney a separate channel. Then of course shows like Dave the Barbarian, which was also a pretty funny, awesome cartoon. That didn't last long. Brandy and Mr. Whiskers, that was a cartoon, but the plot of that got stale in my opinion. The Buzz on Maggie absolutely sucked. There was some fun. That show was occasionally funny, but it sucked. Lilo and Stitch, in my opinion, that formula got stale. That was a good show, but that formula got stale. And then you had American Dragon, Jake Long, which I thought was a pretty good show, but that formula got stale quickly too. So for the cartoons. This is when they started to go downhill, but it was still good. You still had That So Raven, Phil of the Future, which I thought was a pretty cool sitcom for a while. Phil of the Future. Sweet Life of Zach and Cody wasn't the best sitcom, but I thought that was a pretty good sitcom for a while, up until they did that Sweet Life on Deck garbage. And then, of course, you had Life with Derek, which I thought was an awesome sitcom. Then you had Naturally Sadie, which I thought was cheesy, but that was a pretty good sitcom too. Then of course you had then of course later on you got Hannah Montana, which I enjoyed Hannah Montana for one season. In season two, the formula just got stale. Other than Jackson, Oliver, and Rico, and Billy Ray Cyrus, sometimes the show really wasn't that funny. It was all about Hannah Montana's boy trouble. They even had one whole season dedicated to Miley Stewart being in love with this Jake Ryan guy, and it was just boring. I was so happy when that show was over. The only good episode after season one, in my opinion, was an episode where she got her driver's license. That episode went back to the formula of the first season, with Miley Cyrus and friends trying to keep her secret identity while getting into wacky situations, instead of this drama stuff instead of this superficial drama crap that the other seasons had. And then Hannah Montana, she became a superstar. The channel became all about Hannah Montana. And once they saw they could make so much money by recruiting kids off the streets or from other movies to act and sing, that's what Disney Channel has pretty much been doing. They've stopped focusing on their animation and Cartoon Network and cartoons. The focus exclusively on live action. After Hannah Montana, then it was Selena Gomez, who I enjoyed for a while. Then it was the Jonas Brothers, who I'm a huge fan of, but I thought their show was terrible. Then Demi Lovato, who I'm also a huge fan of, and I enjoyed her show too, but it's just live action crap. Then of course, I also enjoyed the spin-off show Corey in the House. That show was kind of crap, but I thought that show was hilarious. And once again would take it over all the sitcoms I have to watch today. Now let's fast forward to today. Disney Channel, in my opinion, absolutely sucks today. When all those Disney Channel stars, Miley Cyrus, Selena Gomez, Mitchell Musso, Demi Lovato, Emily Osment, all those people, Dylan and Cole Sprouse, when all those people grew up and left Disney Channel, I thought Disney Channel was going to get back to the old Toon Disney, go back to what they were doing. Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon in some ways did that, with Nickelodeon All That and Cartoon Network in 2011. In 2010, they brought back a lot of old shows and got some brand new spanking new shows. So Cartoon Network briefly went back to what they were about. Disney Channel, on the other hand, refuses to improve. They refuse to go back to what got them to the dance in the first place. Instead of going back to animation, they got younger actors and rehashed the same crappy plots for new, even crappier shows like Shake It Up. This show was funny, but it's stale, boring, superficial, and just fake. And it's fake, and I'm glad it's canceled. Then you had Ant Farm, which this show was kind of funny, but this show, once again, is a rehash of what we've already seen before, and it's a ripoff of Nickelodeon's show Victorious, another overrated, crappy teen sitcom. Then I actually like Good Luck Charlie. That was a pretty good sitcom. That reminds me of the sitcoms of the 90s, like Boy Meets World and stuff like that. I actually like Good Luck Charlie. That was a good sitcom. Then you have other sitcoms like Austin and Ally, which I think Austin and Ally, which was funny, but it's bland, boring, and we've seen it before. Then you got Dog with a Blog, which was also pretty good, but I'm sick of seeing that live action garbage. Then you got Then you got Jesse, the worst sitcom of them all. This show is boring. It's a ripoff of The Nanny, which, in my opinion, isn't that good of a sitcom. It is boring, it is bland, and it's not funny. The other ones at least are funny, but this one is boring and just bland. And then, of course, you got the newest sitcom, Liv and Maddie. This sitcom was pretty good, but I'm sick of seeing this. Then you got then of course Wizards of Waverly Place, which in my opinion was good for a while, but that went on way too long. That finally ended, and now like I said, Disney Channel today, when I turn on the TV guide, they still suck. They still have those same shows. They have they still have the crappy filler blocks. That, in my opinion, that's a problem with every main channel today. They could use those other time slots to show other things, but no, they want to show reruns, and various episodes of Liv and Maddie, Shake It Up, Ant Farm, and shows Dog with a Blog and shows like that, man. And it's annoying. Then, of course, Wonder Over Yonder. I think that's a crappy cartoon. Phineas and Ferb sucks today. Used to be good, but now it sucks. And Gravity Falls is like one of the only good shows they have. Well, this was my rant on Disney Channel. All right, Doug 8798 out.